are going, with what few people are there, going, what are you doing? You're the producer of the show. And I said, somebody needs to put this equipment in the truck. It's that simple. And you try not to let anything fall through the cracks, no matter how small.
Everything's been said. Example, I was filming a music video in downtown LA last week, and Starbucks wouldn't deliver.
Yeah.
So I had to go walk 5 blocks to and from Starbucks with 14 coffees, stacked like this, and 2 bags of food. And like, that's not in my job description, but like, you have to step up and do it.
Artists come to me all the time. You know, of all the titles I have, the one I'm most proud of is artist advocate. And artists come to me all the time. They ask me about this, they ask me to be their manager and all this other stuff. And if they're just starting out, my most valuable advice to them is, I know where to find your manager. Find your biggest fan, and that will be your manager. Because if your manager isn't your biggest fan, why even bother?
So most of my day is talking to other producers, managers, as well as other artists' managers. Because a lot of the time it'll be like an artist, like a rapper wants to use one of our producers' beats and like really likes the way he produces, and wants to get in a session with him just to see if they can like get along, if they like vibe well, you know, if they like each other's sound. So that's kind of the biggest part of my job, is setting up those sessions, making sure that everything goes good, just seeing that, you know, like, this writer might want to work with this person, and that would be cool to connect those dots. So that's a big part of that.
Well, as an arts manager and working with artists, you guys do a lot of shows and interact with them in many different places. I wanted to ask about, like, what is one of the most rewarding experiences that you've had, in a way like assisting them, or just like a really cool experience that you like to share with everyone? Let's go from Brent down.
Rewarding experience. How about being in this business for 50 years and still being in it?
That's how I'm trying to be. That's how I'm telling you right now.
That's quite an accomplishment. It was kind of a surprise, because somebody brought it up to me in August. August 22nd was the date, way back when I did my first show up in Anchorage.
Woodstock, Alaska.
Yeah, Woodstock, Alaska. And it occurred to me that this was an accomplishment. Being in this business, this business has chewed up and spit out so many people. In many different ways, and I'm still going, so I must be doing something right, or I'm crazy, or a little bit of both. So that's probably. I mean, there's a lot of things I've done throughout the years that I'm proud of, but just off the top of my head, that's what occurred to me just then. So
amazing. And even back in the day when I was sitting in these chairs here, I was at Cal Poly and doing like the whole radio station thing there, and like attending these same kinds of panels, which were not as cool as this, by the way. Yeah. But yeah, I would be booking like house shows. We would have like little like concerts for parties. It was just kind of an excuse to like party, but we would do like house shows for like local bands around the area, and like Friends of Friends in Pomona. And now you see these artists playing, like my good friends the Red Pears are gonna be headlining the Wiltern in a couple months. I have some close friends of mine, the High Curbs, are gonna be at the Roxy this weekend. And yeah, you just see all these bands that you like really, really believed in, and you love their music, and you're just like vouching for them so hard. And you see them working hard, and you see you working hard. You guys are kind of just like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, like let's help each other out kind of thing. And then you see these like awesome, amazing shows like down the line. I think that's kind of the most rewarding part of what I do. It's just like, you just really care about your friends that play music, and you really like the music that they come out with, and eventually it'll, you know, lead somewhere. So
a big accomplishment that I like want to emphasize is, I was saying mental health is a big thing for me. So I got mental health first aid certified through a company called Music Minds Matter out in Colorado. And so I brought that to the head of Universal, which was like the scariest meeting of my whole life. It wasn't Lucian, but it was the people directly under him.
It's scary there.
And I got, I know, a lot of like good and bad tears that day. And I got Universal to partner with the program. So now they offer all their employees to get mental health first aid certified. And I was just like, I did that. I did that for this like global,
That's nice.
huge company.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
That's off to you.
So I would say that is like the really like bone chilling accomplishment that I have so far.
You can be the greatest singer, player, whatever. If you're an asshole, I don't want to have anything to do with you. Simple as that. But there are artists out there that are humble. A good example, this girl came from Northern California. I put on shows all the time, and I even put on shows that don't have a cover charge right there on Sunset for artists that don't have a draw, but they need to play somewhere, so I make this thing happen. So I put this girl in there, just her and her little keyboard. She started singing. Halfway through the song, I picked myself up off the ground and let her finish her set, and then I had a talk with her afterwards. I was so blown away, I called a bunch of friends the next day, and within 24 hours, she was booked solid for 6 months with vocal sessions. So I had her perform, this is 2018, I had her perform one of the nominated songs in my award show, which went on to win the Oscar and everything else, a song called Shallow.
Wow.
And she sang that on stage, blew the roof off the place, and after the performance, Diane Warren came to me and said, Brent, will she sing my demos? And I said, yes, she will. And it all stemmed from me giving an opportunity to somebody who had massive talent with massive humility and just wanted a chance. And she had the talent, and she was easy to work with, and I wanted to open as many doors as possible for her, and I did, and she is flying.
But secondly, I think a lot of people tend to forget that being an artist is just like any other job. It just might be a little bit more of a time-consuming, job that has a lot more like exposure to the public eye. But at the end of the day, like it's still your job. So your job is to, be cordial, be on time, do things, and perform and do what you need to do. And so it's like any other job interview. If you're like a manager at a company, or you're a hiring manager somewhere, you're not going to want to work with somebody that's like, oh, you didn't have green M&Ms for me here, I'm never going to come back here again. You know what I mean? It's the same as any other job. It's just a little bit of a harder, more kind of exhausting job sometimes. And I will say that the industry, especially the music industry, in the pop realm of things, is so small. Everyone knows everyone, and you're always 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from anyone. At all
Kevin
times.
Bacon.
Yeah, at all times. So it's really if your reputation is kind of tarnished, people are not going to want to work with you, and then that will kind of get word somewhere else, and you can get blacklisted so easily.
Word spreads.
Yeah, the same way that you can get,
Especially on social media.
yeah, and the same way that you can have a great reputation with people. It goes both ways. It's such a tiny world. Everybody knows everybody. I'm pretty sure all of us have worked in 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from each other. Yeah.
Another point that
was discussed by Stacey earlier. Be present in the scene. The world is so small. The industry is so tiny. Everybody knows everybody, and everyone's going to shows. And it is true. It really is who you know. The job that I have now as a day-to-day manager at a really cool artist management company was my old professor at Cal Poly. So literally just DMing me on Instagram. It's hey, you looking for a new job? And I was like, yeah. And it's because I would go to shows and he would be there, and I would just always try and hang out and Being present in the industry, going to shows, going to like mixers, as boring as they are, and like meeting with people for lunch, meeting with people for coffee, and like not being a huge flake is like one of the most important things you can do, because at the end of the day, it could really be like your homie that is like, you have no idea what they've been doing, and you just like hang out, and he's been working at like Home Depot for like 10 years, and then all of a sudden he hits you up and is like, hey, like I just got signed to Warner for like doing like underground hip hop, like can you like come with me? And like all of a sudden, like, you know, it's like things like that. So really just being present, really just being there, really just being a part of the fabric, and just like really garnering and nurturing your relationships with the people around you, and just being a good person, really.
Yeah.
That's the end of, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really,
Just
yeah,
be decent.
Be a good person.
Yeah.
For a personal thing for me, because I like being a day-to-day, but I want to be a tour manager, so I've just been like shadowing our tour manager and everything, and I didn't realize how important numbers and math would be. So tour manager is in charge of all the budgeting for the artist, and we have a touring crew of 45 people. So big numbers getting thrown around. I always avoided math and accounting and finance, and a majority of what I do now is using Expensify and QuickBooks and making budgets and
Literally.
just all the finance stuff, and it's like, it is trash to me, but I have to do it. You have to do it. So that's one thing, is like knowing numbers.
No, yeah, as a
Something I
TM,
did
your
now.
calculator app is the one that's like the most used. Probably.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And just like all the spreadsheets of budgets.
Right.
And the budget is changing every single day, and adding new crew members, and my head's gonna explode.
It is. So please, 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 any show you can go to, whether it's a local club, whether it's a big stadium, any show you can go to it. Look for the people in normal clothes with a walkie. That's who you want to talk to.
And don't go up to them like crazily.
Yeah.
Don't scare them away.
Don't scare them away, but look up whoever you're gonna go see. Look up who their agent is. Literally on CAA and on Wasserman, it tells you who their agent is, so you can know their name, look them up on LinkedIn, see their face, and then if you see them at a show, be like, "Hey, sorry not to bug you. I know you're blah and blah's agent. I just wanted to introduce myself. I love what your client does." Da da da. They'll be blown away
impressed.
that you know him.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not
you know
weird to
them.
do that.
No, just be very professional about it. If you guys want to practice with me, and let's do it. I want you guys to be confident in going up to these people, because that's how you get into the music industry. Okay, you can't. I know some people are introverted and are shy, but like if you want to put yourself out there and impress these people, you gotta make yourself known like that. So,
Also, like not just music people. Like music, like is a part of fashion, hair, makeup. It's a part of sports. It's everything. So, like, stay connected to every single industry. Meet as many people as you can, not just music. Like, you might want your artist song to be on NBA 2K, and like you're meeting people like through video game stuff or sports things. You might want your artist their song to be in a movie. So you got the movie realm of things, or your artist to model or have a brand partnership with Adidas. So like meeting people in the fashion world, like everything is connected to music. Everyone loves music. It's even in your elevators. So like connect outside of music as well.
Yeah, just, you go do as many mixers as possible. That's one thing that my network does, is a lot of mixers and a lot of networking events, because no matter how connected you are online, nothing will ever replace this. Ever. So go to as many of these mixers or events, or I send out invites to my contact list, depending upon what list it is, to special screenings or industry mixers, or some sort of pre-event or post or after party and things like this. Get on those lists and actually show up and see what's up and who's there, and start making friends. It's pretty much that simple.
That's really it.
Small comment on that: if you do end up, someone gives you a favor and puts you on their list, don't not show up, because you'll never get that favor again. And people talk, so.
Or be courteous and say,
let them know.
I won't be able to blah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Don't just like ghost and not show up.
Yeah, just be courteous to people.
Be polite.
Yeah.
Question. Yes.
So we've heard a lot about your successes, which is really inspiring, by the way. I'd like to know if there's any major mistakes you might have made or something you regret and what you
Never.
Never.
I don't even know what that word means.
I have one off the top of my head. A couple years ago when I was a sophomore in college, I got a call from my boss of Universal at the time. It was like, hey, you need to... I never got a task like this ever again, and never before, no one did. He was like, you need to pick up Louis Capaldi from the airport, hang out with him for the day, and run a meet and greet, and then drop him off at a show. And I was like, why are you trusting like an 18-year-old to do this? Like, what? So I was like, Mom, can I use your car? And I'm like cleaning out my car. I pick him and his manager up. We're like getting cheesesteaks and all this stuff. And it's time to go to the meet and greet. And it was like a little bit outside the city. Of course, I like miss a bunch of exits. He's like an hour late to the meet and greet. Like his manager's like on the GPS and he's like, no, you need to go here. Like backseat driving, like all that crazy stuff. And like, I
would start crying.
Yeah, and being like that, I was like so fresh to the industry, and something like he was gonna meet his meet and greet, his like one in Pennsylvania for the whole like couple years. So yeah, that's like one of my bigger mistakes. But you can bounce back, you know.
I was just talking about this. Let me know if I'm like taking too much time. But I was just talking about this with my friend like yesterday, and I was like, honestly, like, as firstly someone young, someone new in the industry, secondly as a woman, and thirdly as a woman of color, it's really hard to like advocate for yourself and kind of, you know, speak up and like try and take space in an industry that is so scary.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying place to be sometimes, and you're gonna run into like a lot of judgment, a lot of bias, and a lot of disrespect. And it took me a really, really, really long time, even up until recent, I still struggle with it today, to want to take space up, like take up space and be like, I belong here. Like, I know what I'm doing. You know, like, I don't need you to, like, tell me, like, what I'm doing here, and I don't need you to tell me that I don't belong here. Yeah, confidence is key. It's just take up the space. Like, just know that, like, there's a reason why you're there, right? Like, somebody brought you in there. Like, there's a reason why you're invited to this party. There's a reason why you're in this mixer. Like, you know somebody. And you know what you're doing. So that's why you're there. Really.